Guys, I went from this to this within the space of 3 to 4 months. If you want to find out how, stay tuned. You don't want to miss out. Hey guys, what's good? It's your boy Young Chef Games. I hope you guys have had a great day today. I've got top 3 tips for you to gain muscle fast, and this is for teenagers, right? So I'm gonna go straight into it, no time to waste. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I post regularly. Let's go. So tip number 1, training techniques. First, I want to talk about form, right? As a teenager, right, you need to remember that you have many years ahead of you, right? There is no time, lifting really heavy just to satisfy your ego, right? Make sure that your form is perfect, yeah? So take it slowly. When you're practicing those big compound movements like bench press, squats, deadlifts, or even pull-ups, make sure that your form is perfect. Because when you progressive overload, which we'll talk about later, when you progressive overload and that weight gets heavier, you'll start to see those obstacles. You'll start facing obstacles and you'll feel like you're not making as much progress. So make sure that your form is perfect. I'd say, spend just 2 weeks alone, just focusing on your form on every different type of exercise. So another thing that you can add for training techniques is progressive overload. Progressive overload is highly important. Without it, you won't be able to gain muscle fast. So my top tip for progressive overload is to pick exercises that you can actually progress in. For example, for my chest, I enjoy bench press. However, you could do push-ups, you could do weighted push-ups, you could do anything. You could do dumbbell bench press, you could do the cable flies, but anything that you enjoy progressively overloading in. That way, if you stick to it in your training routines, you can actually progress into it. You can increase the weight over time, or you can increase the volume over time. What is volume? Volume is when you increase the reps or the sets in your exercises. Another good training technique is time under tension. And this is another highly important technique that you can use. Time under tension is key. This is where, for example, for bicep curls, right? On the concentric, you're going 1 second up, and on the eccentric, you're going 2 seconds down. This allows your muscle fibers to really activate and engage during the exercise. Why is the eccentric movement twice as long? Because that part of the movement, your muscles are stronger. So it's sort of like a ratio, right? You want to give your muscle fibers an equal amount of tension during your exercise, right? The slower you are, the better. Each set should last at least 30 to 40 seconds, right? That way, you're really engaging those muscle fibers and you're really getting the blood flowing through to that muscle group. Okay, tip number 2 to gain muscle fast for teenagers. This is very important, and it is dieting. Nutrition is key. In fact, nutrition is more important than when you're actually training. Why? Because what you eat is what you will become, right? So if you're eating good nutrition, your body will become healthier, it will become more optimized to gain muscle fast. So how can you improve your nutrition? Main problem that most teenagers have is affordability, right? Most people can't afford to, meal prep or buy enough food so that they can hit their macronutrients, right? Here is one thing that you need to know. If you want to gain muscle fast as a teenager, you will need to start investing in yourself. You need to start earning some money somehow so that you can afford good dieting, because nutrition is key. In fact, I believe in 80% nutrition, 20% exercise, and 100% mindset, right? Your nutrition needs to be on top if you want to gain muscle fast. Okay, so these are the top types of foods that I usually get because, when you're meal prepping or buying lots of food, it can get, a bit hard, especially with teenagers, right? Most of us can't really, afford that. We rely on our parents, which is a bad thing to do in my opinion. So these are some good protein rich and, you know, bodybuilding, muscle gaining friendly foods that you can start investing in yourself and buying so that you can gain muscle fast. 1, eggs. You can eat that, you can eat it whole or you can eat egg whites, right? It doesn't matter. You'll be getting in those protein. 4 to 5 eggs in the morning and then in the evening. Something along those lines. Chicken breasts. This is cheap, this is protein rich, and it's good for your body. It's good to gain muscle fast. You can have that with rice, white rice, brown rice, doesn't matter. You also want to track your calories. Start tracking your calories. You need to find out your maintenance calories. How do you find out your maintenance calorie? You can go on a calculator online, just type up maintenance calorie calculator, right? And this will give you a rough estimate of how much calories you eat on average per day. And what you will do is, right, you would eat normally for a week and you would weigh yourself. So weigh yourself before and after. And if you've gained or lost any weight, you know roughly how much calories of a surplus or deficit you've actually made, right? So find out your calorie maintenance level. Once you do this, you can decide whether you want to go on a calorie surplus or a calorie deficit. Now, to gain muscle fast, I'd recommend you guys to stay on a maintenance or go on a calorie surplus. The reason why I went from this to this is because I was on a calorie surplus, about 500 calories, and I was eating a protein-rich diet, right? So make sure you track your calories. Why should you track your calories? It's because you will know exactly how much progress you're making. Also, when you're tracking your calories, you're not just tracking how much calories you eat per day. You also want to track how much macronutrients you're taking in. So what are macronutrients? Macronutrients are the key sources of nutrients that you need for your body to function. The ones that are most important are carbs and protein, right? You need to make sure that you're balancing them well in your diet. So typically you would want to be on a low fat diet because you don't want to burn too much fat. And then you want to be in a high protein diet and then moderate or low amount of carbs, right? Always take your carbs before your workout. That's part of tip 1. So that's tip 2 done. Tip 3, supplementation. The best types of supplements that I used before my workouts, I used pre-workout, and every day I took multivitamin. Multivitamin allowed me to, it supplied my body with the right nutrients and vitamins throughout the day. And then the pre-workout gave me enough energy for my workouts every time I worked out. I had no days off, and I didn't take pre-workout every day like that, but it was definitely worth it for the big workouts when you're working on those larger muscle groups. Another good supplement that you could start taking on a regular basis is fish oil. It's similar to multivitamin, but it's perfect for your body to function during weightlifting. Also, whey protein or soya protein. I take soya protein Herbalife, link in bio if you want that. And I usually take about 50 grams after a workout, just so that, during that anabolic window, my muscles are in the perfect position to gain muscles fast, right? Now that tip 3 is done, we're going to move on to extra advice. So most people have skinny fat problems, especially most teenagers, right? I have a lot of people coming up to me. They're saying, Young Shift Gains, how can I gain muscle fast but also lose this fat? Now here's my advice for you. You would want to go on a slight calorie surplus. This means you're eating 200 to 300 more calories than you usually are every day. What this will do is when you gain your muscle mass, the fatty deposits will distribute around your body more, and it will look like you're gaining less fat. And then once you've reached the size that you want, then you go on a slight calorie deficit and you burn the fat. This is where you'll be drinking more water. This is where you'll be eating more low calorie dense foods so that you can stay in your calorie deficit and so that you can burn the fat fast whilst you're on a high protein diet to keep that muscle mass. Also, most people say slow progress. Oh, I'm having problems with slow progress. How can I sort this out? I've hit this obstacle, I've hit this plateau, and I just don't know how to pass it. My main advice for you is to stay consistent. You either got it or you haven't. You need to be working hard to reach your goals. Whenever there's a problem, if you pass it, you can close that bridge between that goal that you have in mind. You always need to stay consistent. That is the most important advice that I'll be preaching for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Consistency is key. If that still doesn't work, you need to adapt. You need to change your decisions. You need to change your training techniques, your dieting, so that you can make changes and learn from that, right? You always want to be adapting if you're making slow progress. Also, another issue that most people have, bad genes. They always want to blame it on the genes, right? My calves are actually tiny, right? That's my bad gene. But, you know, there's no excuses. What do you have to do? Again, you have to adapt. So me, I target my calves and my legs 3 times a week, and that makes sure that I gain muscle fast for my legs, right? So there's no excuses, right? You have to work with what you've got, and you have to try your best. You have to stay consistent, and you have to work every day until you reach your goals. There are no excuses. Okay guys, so those are the 3 main tips that I have for you. I hope you guys gained some knowledge out of that. I'm happy that you guys have sacrificed your time to, you know, potentially learn something new or just to motivate you. I'm very happy that you've joined me today. If you'd like to, you know, listen to more frequent advice and motivation, make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you know when there's a new video coming, and share, comment too, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.
Nigga, your auntie broke, your grandma broke, your brother broke, nigga, you broke!
I've been on top for a while.